time than last time, but if you weren't here last time, I'm Gina Oster, I'm your county commissioner for this district, and I've got a sign-up sheet. I'd love to get everybody's name, email address, and phone number, so I can get a hold of you if, you know, things change and you need to get a hold of me. And then we have also getting ready to, and the ones who didn't get it last time, this is my campaign card, I'm sorry, I ran out of county commission and they're ordering them more, but Advance Knox, I don't know if any of you have heard about that. This is the initiative coming out of the mayor's office. So it is to plan for the next 20 years of zoning and building and infrastructure and all kinds of stuff. Now, they had their meetings, they're gonna have another one, I think in March, and it's gonna be at Cedar Bluff Middle School. So you can take this card, do your little code on the back, and it'll update you when the meetings are. But it's just good information to have if, you know, you wanna, kind of know what's happening in there. I had invited Jim Snowden, who is over our engineering department. I'm not sure if he's gonna be able to make it or not. If he does, I know there was a couple of questions that didn't relate to David on Jenkins. Jim and I also, not this week, but next week, will be going over to Jenkins because we're looking to try to put a stop sign on Jenkins Road to stop some of the really fast traffic that I know you all know. So I think I've got a great location for it, but I have to go on what Jim says. So it could be somewhere different, but it'll at least slow everybody down a little bit. So.
Have you ever considered speed bumps? I know
We can't do a speed bump because it's considered a main thoroughfare for emergency vehicles. So I can do a speed light and I can do a stop sign. That's the best that I can do.
Okay.
But we can at least do that. I went from Chirpit and I went from Bakertown, and by the time I hit Capitol, and I was doing it on purpose, by the time I hit Capitol, I was already at 50 miles an hour. So there's nobody going 30 or 35, whatever that speed limit is. So we can slow that down just a little bit, and then maybe eventually get a sidewalk on one side of Jenkins, which I think would be pretty cool. So that's kind of what I'm working on. One other thing, I have got a guest here today. We started, and the commission started its first junior commissioner program. So we just started, so we have my junior commissioner in the back, Dane Shelton, and he wanted to come and see a zoning meeting, and he can see how fast he can run thinking about getting away from commission. So, I'm just kidding. I love this stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the man of the hour. David came to the meeting last time, if you guys weren't here. He brought the attorney. I will tell you, from being a realtor and for being a county commissioner, it is extremely rare to get builders and developers to come to these meetings and take kind of the abuse. And y'all weren't too bad on him, but usually they'll hire their attorney, which he did, which is completely normal and it's totally acceptable. But they'll usually send the attorney. They don't come into the hot pocket. And he was more than generous to offer to do that and spent quite a bit of time with us. The week after that, him and I sat down for about an hour and had coffee. I shared my concerns. We just kind of went back over the meeting, and he heard exactly what you all were saying. I think he's going to be an asset to your neighborhood area. I think he's going to be an asset to the community. David also lives in my district. He's over on Kane Road. So his mom and dad are in my district. So all of you guys are my constituents. And so it was really important to make sure we could get to a happy medium. And I think that we've done that. So David, if you guys want to get up and do your thing, I'm giving it to you.
Sure. All right. Good. Well, just thank you everybody for coming, and we basically did what we said we're going to do. We came up with two different drawings, and we're going to present the plan. But we have two different ideas. We wanted to do attached units and detached units. We've done both drawings, but we actually submitted the detached units. So a lot of people were concerned with the duplexes and things, and so we did our best to kind of go away from that. And, they just want to present as basically regular
Harbin. Mr. Cheban here has engaged me. I'm the engineer and surveyor for this project. We brought this project to us a few months ago and initially asked us to put in some townhomes right here. So that was the first plan that we presented, and you saw earlier. We in there and did, there's an existing house there, and so you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more townhomes. After feedback from you guys, we went back and looked at it and said, well, yeah, it sort of makes sense here to go ahead and detach those townhomes and put them as single-family houses. And so that was, and then David directed me to basically to present that, and prepare that, and that's what we've presented to Planning Commission that for a concept plan that will come up, I guess, here in a few weeks. So, we presented this plan with keeping the single-family house there, and then 7 more houses that will be sitting by themselves. Yes.
Can you point out the single-family house just to orient us?
Right there's a single-family house.
Okay, thank you.
And then this is the new road that will be coming in, be a private road. And then out off of that will be the 7 new additional single-family units, right?
So how much land does that give them per home?
Let's see. Yeah, I do have the square footage here, around 6,600 square feet.
Percentage per acre?
Per acre, what will be underneath, what do we get the rezoning?
Well, we got 4.2 per acre.
4.2, that's what we're
Four
asking.
point two? What's the size of the houses?
So you still yet to be determined, we don't have a house plan, it's just, this is the concept subdivision plan, but I'm thinking 4 to 5, somewhere in that price range.
86.
I'd love to 8 and 9, you know,
Have a good realtor, they was running over.
What's the cost
Right.
today?
Right.
You
Yeah, we're mindful of that, obviously.
It's $20,000, for goodness sake.
We're trying to do what makes most sense, obviously, and so that's, the higher the price, the better for everybody, so,
Yeah.
we're looking for that.
So previously you had 8 duplexes, and now you have 7. Is that what I understood last time?
No,
We have
previously
eight.
there was 3 duplexes, so it's this plan right here. So this one has 1, 2, 3 duplexes, which are 2 units together and then 1 separate. And now we've split them all up and they're no longer attached, there are 7 individual.
But a total of 8.
Total of 8, yes, same amount of units, yes.
Now it's down to 7.
No, well, 8 with the existing house. So 7 new ones plus the existing that's there.
One more thing, so this is more like Meeting House and Glenard, where they have a little bit more room per home, per acreage per home, and they can be nicer homes, right?
Gonna build really nice homes. I don't know exactly.
They're 2-story houses.
2-story houses, yes. 2-car garage, 2-story house.
Increase workspace of rent homes. You know,
Probably 12 feet.
square footage on the house roughly.
Around 2,000, more or less, somewhere in there.
Are they all gonna look the same, or are they gonna be different?
We're gonna try to make them look different.
Okay.
We're gonna make a variation.
You do a nice house, I mean, I've seen your work, it's nice houses.
How does the square footage for this plot compare to the existing homes, square footage wise? In around the area, so is it gonna be more homes on a smaller scale, on a smaller lot?
I like to
Versus what we
compare it
have
with what
today.
we have one there, and that's got about 1,200 square feet. These are gonna be bigger than what the existing house that's on the property now. And then everybody in the.
Quarter acre lots, more,
So,
I guess,
yeah.
roughly.
You're not
But
getting
today's
Well,
lot
that's
has
kind of what-
larger,
that's what some of the
space in
legislation-
between the houses, right?
Say it again?
To today's houses in the area, between each house, you have a lot more, open area. You're not just butted up once against one another. Are these going to be closer and butted up closer
They
together?
will be a little closer. That's actually one of the reasons we consider to kind of put 2 units together to make a much bigger building and kind of save a little bit on the area. We're a little bit of on the hill. So we wanted to kind of cluster 2 units together to make them, make only 3.5 buildings as opposed to 7. And so now we spread them out. We have to do more work in order to get the grade properly done and all that. But, obviously a lot of people didn't like that. So we're obviously, we went a long way to accommodate.
Well, I guess Glenn's biggest, our neighbor, which they can't be here, his biggest concern was versus, somebody purchasing a house against a rental property. I think that's kind of what his concern was. The duplex offered more of a rental type thing. It's not, you know, somebody's not near his best, maybe, you know, so I'm sure he'll be pleased with this.
Right,
It was happy.
No, yeah.
I just wanted to see what it
Did you? Oh,
I wasn't able to communicate with him, and I have.
No, yeah.
I think that was the main concern.
Oh, he did tell us a couple of times that he did not want to do it.
Yeah.
He heard it.
For that reason.
Are these lots, I hear people being a little concerned about the size of the lots. Is this gonna be more like a, what I'm familiar with, is zero lot line homes?
No, so
Okay.
the plan is on that side, we actually have, I think, 15 feet in between the houses.
Okay.
It's a combined 12, 15, somewhere in there, okay. Yeah, and so, yeah, there's space in between.
I'm sure that there's probably a code for that, probably for access for emergency vehicles, you know, like if there's a fire or something, you have to be able to get say something between them buildings.
If you go any closer,
Yeah,
it
I mean, I'm sure
has to be a firewall, that's why we put it.
Okay, that's what I figured, there's some kind of code on that.
Will you be able to keep some of the trees around the periphery, you know, for a little bit of a barrier?
We'll try probably ones in the top corners, somewhere up there, but we've got to work all that.
Right,
on the
right.
front
I mean,
side,
as you
so
get
we'd love to
more
keep
lots.
as much as possible, but
It's costly to remove them, but, you know, been in this a long time, it's almost impossible to save when you go in there, everything's so tight anymore, you know, so. From the back of the house, all the way through the back of the house, we are totally grading that area.
If you could keep a few, that'd be nice.
Oh, yes, we love the periphery definitely, and all that we can, but it pains you when you have to go in there and remove so much vegetation.
So it looks like you have 4 on one side of that road and 3 on the other.
Yes, there's
And
one,
then
two,
the back
three, four.
side up there, is that just, you did anything on?
There'll be a common area up there, so,
Oh, okay.
but we will be grading in that area right there to make the road, to get the road to work, so.
Is that where the road is gonna be?
It's just a straight road.
yeah.
Just right in the middle.
Okay.
And we'll have 3 units in the back, and that's the existing house.
Where's the road gonna come out at?
It's just a dead end road, it just comes in.
No, she talked about.
Oh, right here?
Going
Yeah, just
in.
right straight down.
Yeah,
in front of the old house, it's
Just
just
right
kind of
there.
where the concrete ends,
Okay.
Okay.
that area.
About right at the top of that hill right there.
I think a lot of people were concerned about the drainage, and so that's one thing that we wanted to show. So initially, we thought about having the retention pond on the side, which is right next to Jennifer's house. And so we noticed that there was no culvert on her driveway, and there is another neighbor on the other side, has no driveway, no culvert on the driveway. So what we did is we actually moved the detention pond from here to behind the house, so we can drain everything here, and then pipe all the runoff to the, behind the house.
Excellent.
And then run it that way instead of kind of making all the water run on this side, which would be a little more problematic. I know some neighbors would really
Yes.
fond of that though, so that's what we did, and then you can see the retention pond behind the house, the old house right here. So we'll catch all the water right here before it gets to the road, and then we'll drain it, run it into the pond, and then run it out that way. That was one of the concerns that Ms. Oster put up for the rezoning.
What's the estimated timeline from start of construction to end of construction? And how are you going to manage the construction equipment coming in and out, during that period for that area?
It'll depend on the time that we start, but usually about 2 to 6 months for the grading part of it, and then whatever the building, but I would say 8 years, 12 months or so, more or less. It really depends on what the economy does and everything else, but,
When do you expect to get started? I mean,
ASAP.
It will take, let's see, after we get the concept approval, it'll take a minimum of 3 to 4 months to get all permits through the county, the state.
oh, yeah, government works really quick, don't it?
So 3 to 4 months after the concept.
Government's really doing slow things down.
The best case scenario would be
Jenkins Road. Right now, the hill coming up toward Summer Place from whatever direction that is, the visibility is terrible. And adding more traffic is gonna make it worse. There's accidents there frequently.
That's why Mr. Stone,
Yeah, that's more of a county, you know,
Right, and
he's
that's
not-
why
he's
he's
not
bringing it
responsible.
up. That's
Just like we talked about, there's no plans on a capital improvement for Jenkins. I mean, there's so many roads like Jenkins all through the county that it would be lovely to be able to get them all done. But that's kind of the things that we were thinking about, the flashing sign, we can put the blind hill up, we can also do the stop sign, which is gonna slow traffic down a little bit. And then possibly the sidewalk, which is gonna give you a little bit more.
Where would you put a slide?
If you're looking at Jenkins from Joe Hinton, it'd be on the right, so it'd be Summer Place side. The other side, I'm not sure, and that's something Jim's gotta look at to see, cause there's quite a bit of drop off and that kind of stuff, but I think, Jenkins on that side would actually kind of work. And so, it's no promises, but it's just something we're looking at, just to get a little bit more walkability, and for kids that wanna go from one neighborhood to the other, you know, they're gonna have a safe, you know, if they wanna do the sidewalk, or if they're wanting to, I mean, you know, people are wanting to get out and walk. I mean, his dad has health issues and said he would like to be able to get out and walk and have the ability, and obviously you can't do that on Jenkins. So, you know, it's just something I'm throwing out there so you guys know that we're talking about.
Gina, this is slightly off subject, but now that you brought up Jenkins, anything to make that better would be great. Just painting the center line would make everybody's day,
I mean, that's a pretty, I would think that's
especially
an
with
easy.
heavy equipment coming in.
Yeah.
Just the center line.
Yeah, well, I think we'll
Would
have
be
that to the
amazing.
list with Jim then, 'cause
Yeah.
I might be told that was easy peasy, so.
I have a very steady hand.
Jim, the mask out there, Craig, and go at it. Does anybody else have any questions for David?
I was just
No,
gonna
I
ask
just,
one more question.
I just wanted, for Glenn, I had to take a picture of this.
Yeah, no, big
You
guy.
may email that to you, you know.
Oh, can you? Okay.
You can email
Can
it.
you
Yeah.
email it to all of us? Okay.
Yes, you have the list.
I mean,
Yes,
yes,
if you
Yeah.
all sign up on your email, then I'll
Yes.
send that, if you're good, I'll send that to David and he can send you the.
Actually,
And that way you can send that out to
We just got the list. You can
It's
just-
actually on the county planning
It's on the
commission
planning website.
website.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was.
Good.
Kind of related, I mean, this seems reasonable. Could we have, maybe people won't like this, but a little bit more police presence occasionally walk on that road?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's.
Because there are a couple cars that, like, if I have to quarantine, because we're exposed all the time due to our jobs,
Right.
I can't sleep in my bedroom because of these two cars that go up and down. So even like at 3 a.m, could we have a police officer on the road to just kind of stop some of those vehicles?
Yeah, I actually, had to do that recently over in the city, which is a horrible thing to deal with. I never moved into the city, but, I called the police chief because we were having an issue, and he's actually sent them over there, so I can do the same thing with my sheriff and just ask them to, you know, show up a little bit more. 'Cause they're down Middlebrook a lot, so.
If they have that moment of pause in their mind, that they, you know, if they could really get stopped in there, it's just.
That's what's
There's
happening over
a
there.
possibility
Yeah.
this could happen.
Yep, that's perfect. Is somebody else back there?
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you to him, because he could have been a jackrabbit about it, and you've been so easy to talk to and open to all of us and all our concerns, and you deserve that, a thank you, I think.
That might have been a first, so that was great.
I promise you, Ben would have fallen over, I think. And you can buy any property you want in District 3.
I need to record that.
So one more question for me. So Jenkins, anytime you have construction, there's always that issue sometimes of trash. The more construction, the more trash, more dirt. Is there, are you gonna try to take precautions and have the construction companies to kind of clean up their messes? Because it's already today, Jenkins sometimes there's a lot of trash on each side. And yes, part of the responsibility of that my wife goes out quite a bit, to try to clean it up, and then it just gets more trash overall. So I think as a community, we can probably do better. But from a construction standpoint, that's where I have concern, because we built, this is years ago, and they said the same thing. But I'll tell you what, there's garbage, there's cans, there's trash, there's nails, everything that could potentially get on that road that increases the opportunity for flats and damage to a vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, we'll make sure that everything is taken care of, we'll have dumpsters, you know, when we get stuff in and out, but during construction, we have that. And that's part of codes enforcement, so if you see anything that even is not done, you can just give them a call and don't be on us, but we're mindful of that, I mean, that's standard.
And I've got something that's a little bit off the subject, but it's this is sidewalk business. We don't have sidewalks on Church Pit or Joe Hinton, okay? Sidewalks that were put here on Church Pit, that drove people nuts getting through to Church Pit to 40. I mean, for a long time, okay? These kids going back and forth to these neighborhoods, it's very seldom. Most of the parents will drive them over there. But the core of this is it's tax dollars that have to pay for this, number one. Number two, whose property on either side of small street like Jenkins are you going to take to do that? And there's a whole lot more to this. Does anybody know what smart growth is and how it happened here 10, 12 years ago? No, none of you are aware of it. Smart growth is what gave us new zoning. And that other town that I spoke about, that other area, they lost. They've got massive high-rise apartment buildings in million and more dollar homes because of this new zoning, because of smart growth. Where does smart growth come from? It's United Nations Agenda 2130. And that today is the World Economic Forum. And that's what they're doing to this country. I don't want sidewalks, not only because they cost me as a taxpayer money, but it changes the entire area of our small community. And I don't want them. I don't care if everybody else wants them. It's going to change it. The only thing I would suggest they do with Jenkins Road is after all the building is over, go in and repave and redo it so that it is a nice road to travel on. I know,
Was
it's,
there a question? There was number 2. Was that a question?
no, that's enough.
Okay.
I mean, they don't even probably know what World Economic Forum is.
If, I will tell you that because I'm having to do it in a neighborhood, so a builder years ago did not finish a sidewalk. So the sidewalk is all over the neighborhood, but it is not, like it just stopped. And so the kids get off the bus and they have to walk in the road before they can connect to the sidewalk. And so we were able to go over, they called us and we were able to go over and we're gonna be able to do it. But we're gonna have to go into 2 of the neighbors' yards, which they're fine with, but the county actually owns 12 feet of the easement. Yeah, so, our major issue is we always want the neighbors to be okay, but it is the county's opportunity, which he should have finished it, but that was here nor there, it was in the 80s, so it's over and done with. But, you know, there's opportunities, there's just situations that I see if we can help a road or help traffic slow down, or we can do that with stop signs, and we can do that with the police presence, and we can do that kind of stuff. I think that we do it, and, you know, so the commissioners are kind of gonna get, you know, their wish list to be able to talk about, and that's not, my wish list isn't gonna happen overnight at all. Nobody else's is either, because budget's gonna be pretty tight this year, as y'all could imagine. But it's something that I would like to do as much as we can to improve that road, because it's, you know, I think it's important to do that.
It's unsafe for our kids.
It really is, I think it is, and so, I'm hoping it misses the stop sign, and, my gosh, putting a, you know, down the center, a line down the center. Yeah. So, does anybody else have any questions? Perfect. I think that, this was a wonderful meeting, it was successful, it was not as, touchy as the first one.
Don't take it down yet.
Please,
Make sure you signed up, and if you don't have my contact
Harbin.